right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. We've got some big stories to talk about today. Finally, for the first time in a very long time, we got a physique update from Andrew Jacked. And I don't mean a training video. I mean an actual physique update. This has been kind of the talk of the bodybuilding world today because this is something that's very few and far between for Andrew. And it's kind of funny. I think either the last video that I did or the video before that, I literally said in that video, if Andrew Jacked dropped a physique update, an actual physique update, the internet would go crazy, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Every bodybuilding page is talking about this, and rightfully so. Andrew looks, I'd say, really impressive in this update. This is a very big version of Andrew. Now, again, what we want to see from Andrew is the same conditioning or better than the Olympia. So big doesn't necessarily mean better, but he does look freakishly big in this update at 6 weeks out now from the 2026 Arnold Classic. So let's put it side by side here. This is Andrew from the 2025 Olympia, and so on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side is Andrew 6 weeks out from the 2026 Arnold Classic. I think you can see his lats from the front look a little bit wider. His arms look a little bit bigger. His waist, you know, honestly, to me, his waist does look a little bit thicker. And this isn't an off-season update. I mean, this is 6 weeks out. We're getting close to the show. His legs look bigger, but honestly, I kind of feel like they lack a little bit of detail here, but they do, to me, they look bigger. Maybe it's just the way that he's standing and hitting the pose. But to me, that was kind of the standout of this update, is that Andrew Jacked at 6 weeks out looks really big. And then when you compare it to the Olympia, I think he looks significantly bigger than he did at the Olympia. Now, again, the question with Andrew is, can he replicate what he was able to do at the Olympia and Romania? I would say he pretty successfully replicated the Olympia look for the Romania show shortly after the Olympia. But, of course, the Arnold is, you know, there's a much bigger gap between those shows and the Arnold. And really, those are my two only critiques of Andrew, really, is the lower body, the size of the lower body, and conditioning. And here, you know, like I said, the legs do look a little bit bigger. I wouldn't say that they look insanely conditioned here, especially on like the inner thigh part of his leg, which is something he's kind of struggled with. And this is going to sound negative, but it's really not. Just comparatively speaking, I think that in Nick Walker's updates that we've seen recently, he looks a bit further along to me than Andrew Jacked does from a conditioning standpoint. I mean, like I said, when you compare this to how he looked at the Olympia, the waist looks kind of thick. The abs don't look as deeply separated. And, of course, we're not talking about him on stage, right? We're talking about a 6 weeks out picture. It's different. It's apples and oranges. But that's kind of what I'm noticing. I mean, like the updates that we've seen from Nick Walker, his abs look really deep. He looks like he's in really good shape. His legs are really defined and separated. I feel like for Andrew, he's just a little bit behind where Nick is at from a conditioning standpoint. And of course, everybody gets in shape at different rates. Maybe Andrew gets in shape really fast towards the end, but that is what we're looking for with him, is what's the condition going to be? Because if Andrew Jacked is going to win the Arnold Classic, it needs to be the Olympia level or better. And certainly if he's going up against Hadi, I would say it needs to be even better condition than he brought at the Olympia. And Andrew already put up a post. He said he's not playing the size game. He's focused on condition. He's focused on detail. So maybe it's not that big of a deal, or maybe it's not concerning at all that he looks to be bigger in this 6 week out update. But overall, I think he looks very impressive. Certainly a front runner for this show. And I'm definitely getting even more curious to see if Hadi Chupin is going to be able to compete or not. Because right now, it's becoming the Andrew and Nick conversation, because we're not seeing a lot from Martin. Andrew's been posting a bit more lately. Nick's been posting a lot more lately. And Hadi Chupin, as we know, the reason for his radio silence is the internet blackout in Iran. So like I said before, there's a very good chance that if he does do the Arnold, we might not hear from him on social media at all until he steps on stage at the Arnold. So we might not know until the last minute what he's looking like or if he's doing the show, Because I would imagine there's a possibility that we don't see him post anything until he's on stage. So Andrew and Nick are kind of blessing us, keeping this conversation going. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below about Andrew Jack's latest physique update, and really the first actual physique update of this prep. I was really excited to see this on my feed today. So let me know what you guys think. Now, Nick Walker as well posted another very impressive update. Actually posted several. So, of course, Nick Walker in the really good goon lighting here. That hands clasped, most muscular pose, which really works so well for his physique. He looks monstrous in these updates. There's undeniably, Nick looks crazy impressive here. And like I said about Andrew, I feel like with Nick Walker, he's been criticized so much for his waist. But I do think when you look at these updates of Nick, his abs look really deep and carved out. The midsection doesn't look like it's, off-season thick. It doesn't look like there's, an extra coating of fat or water or whatever, like compared to how Andrew Jacks were looking in that update, which obviously, Andrew wasn't looking like how he looks when he's on stage. And certainly the midsection wasn't. So this is a really good update from Nick. But again, as I say, when we do see these really impressive updates from Nick, we got to be careful, because I would say that in 2025, leading up to the Olympia, Nick honestly had some of the craziest, most impressive updates that we had seen going into the Olympia, and then had a relatively disappointing, actual on-stage showing and placement. So we got to be careful not to get too, overly excited seeing these updates, because Nick looking really impressive in his updates is nothing new to us. In fact, I think that's one of the things that makes Nick such a popular bodybuilder, because he is so active on social media, and during his preps, he posts a lot of physique updates, and a lot of them look absolutely nuts, like this one does. And I just want to say, I want to take a minute to say, that we appreciate, or at least I appreciate, both Nick and Andrew for kind of keeping the excitement alive leading into the show. Because they, look, these guys know when they post a physique update, this is what's going to happen. Channels like mine, bodybuilding fans, they're going to pick apart these updates. They might be critical, they might be complimentary, but they know that people are going to talk. It's going to start a conversation. And, really guys like Nick and Andrew right now are the guys keeping the conversation alive and exciting going into the Arnold Classic, because the guy that, honestly, I think most people feel is going to win the show if he competes is Hadi Chupin. And we haven't seen literally anything from Hadi. So the guys that are gunning for that title, that are hoping to beat Hadi, guys that have never beaten Hadi before, they're the guys that are posting updates every day. They're the guys that are keeping the conversation alive and showing, this is the package that I'm bringing against Hadi Chupin at the Arnold. So I got to say that I appreciate and respect that they're doing that, especially as much as Nick is posting, because I would say probably there's not very many bodybuilders that got as much criticism as Nick did in 2025. Maybe Derek Lunsford got a little bit more, but I would say it's impressive that he's still doing this for the fans, because he knows what's going to come with it, and that's more criticism. But I would honestly say that right now, and this doesn't mean I think this is how the placings are going to go, but I would honestly say that right now, for me, in terms of who looks more impressive at this point, 6 weeks out, in their updates, and of course this is very subjective, the lighting is different, the pose is different, the setting is different, I kind of prefer Nick's updates in terms of how impressive he looks in a physique update compared to Andrew, at least specifically in this context of a most muscular from Nick versus a front double from Andrew. I prefer Nick with the impressive factor so far. And I would say from a conditioning standpoint as well, I would lean towards Nick being ahead of Andrew. But I'm not saying I think that Nick's going to place ahead of Andrew. I'm just saying whose updates are speaking to me more and are grabbing my attention more. I would probably say Nick. And if I'm being totally honest, again, I don't want to be overly critical towards Andrew, because I'm very appreciative that he finally posted a physique update. But if I'm being totally honest, I was kind of hoping to see Andrew jacked in better shape than what he was in this update. I'm not saying he was out of shape or anything like that, but I was kind of hoping to see like a really peeled, really detailed, really like ahead of the curve, like, wow, I can't believe he's 6 weeks out looking that good type of Andrew. But instead, I'm kind of looking at Andrew's update and thinking, yeah, well, he's still got 6 weeks to go, so let's not get too worried, is kind of more my feeling. I was kind of hoping for a, wow, he looks fantastic for 6 weeks out. But honestly, that was just not the impression that I had. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Also, like Nick's update versus Andrew's update. Whose did you prefer, and who do you have placing higher at the Arnold? I would still say I probably have Andrew placing higher, but so far his update hasn't impressed me as much as what we've seen from Nick lately. And by the way, Nick also posted an update of his back showing off his Christmas tree here. And again, I think this speaks volumes to, you know, some of these classic guys. We're talking about the kind of shape that Nick is in and Andrew is in. But one of the reasons why I'm so excited for the Classic Physique division at the Arnold Classic is because there's like 6 or 7 guys in that Classic Physique lineup that are just stupidly peeled out of their mind. And in my opinion, there's like 6 or 7 of those classic guys that are way more peeled than I think any of the updates that we've seen from any of the open guys. These classic guys are bringing it, and one of them is Menegate. We got a couple more updates from Mattheus Menegate. Again, on paper, the second highest Olympia placer in this Arnold Classic lineup. Mike Sommerfeld was second. He was 7th. So on paper, he's really the front runner to be a top 2 position. Looks really impressive in the latest update. His front double bicep, aesthetically, when it comes to his shape and how it fits Classic, is probably one of my favorites in the updates that we've been seeing. Really impressive front double, really impressive vacuum pose. I like his single arm with a vacuum. I like, you know, having one arm flexed with a vacuum, the most muscular, very vascular, detailed. And honestly, like I said, I think you could make an argument that a lot of these classic physique guys doing the Arnold are a lot more shredded at 6 weeks out than most of, if not all, of the open bodybuilders that we've seen at this point. And I mean, of course, you've got to consider that in some cases the open bodybuilders are, you know, 100 pounds of muscle heavier than some of these classic physique guys, and it's harder to get that type of detail and to get in shape with that much muscle mass. But I'm just saying, these classic physique guys, they're really impressive from a conditioning standpoint at 6 weeks out. And like Menegate, look at the separation, the striations and detail, the vascularity in like his delts and chest. It's, you know, it's more, he looks more conditioned than Nick, for example, in that pose, in those body parts. The classic physique guys are just looking absolutely gnarly. And another one that we got another update from today, Andrea Mammoli. Every time I see Andrea's updates, I say, holy Mammoli. I think this kid's really got a great classic physique look. I'm excited to see how he places. He poses beautifully, by the way. I really enjoyed this video, the way that he's hitting the poses. Really good poser, I think. Really good legs, really good arms, pretty muscular in my opinion for a classic physique guy. I think he's a big wild card here for top 2, top 3. I really do. Even against Menegate, the guy that we just saw, like I think muscle mass-wise, I think Andrea Mammoli is bigger and maybe even better than Menegate, but Menegate might have just a smaller waist, maybe a bit better V-taper. But the more, like I keep saying, man, the more and more updates and the more I'm seeing of Andrea Mammoli's physique, the more I think this could be the guy. This guy's got a great future in classic physique. He's got it. He's got that it factor for classic. And this is part of why I'm so excited for this classic physique division at the Arnold, because I really feel like this Arnold Classic lineup is going to be a big launching point for what I feel is going to be the future of classic physique. I mean, a lot of these names that we've been talking about so much in the build-up to this show, they're guys that I've almost, you know, a lot of them I've never even talked about before. And they're up and coming. They're really talented. They really bring great physiques. And I think you're going to see some guys make a name for themselves at this year's Arnold Classic, kind of like Logan Franklin did against Mike Sommerfeld last year. Even though Logan was second, he was like the big talk of the show, almost even more than Mike winning the show. And I think you're probably going to see a similar conversation come out of whatever the top 3 is this year in 2026, someone's going to make a splash here. And maybe that someone could be Sam Sulek. I personally don't think Sam is going to be top 3, by the way. I want to get that out of the way. But we did get another recent physique update from Sam Sulek today at 42 days out. And, speaking of giving somebody props for frequently posting physique updates, Sam has posted a physique update literally every single day of this prep, counting down the days to now 42 days out from his 2026 pro debut at the Arnold Classic, showing his legs again. And just like that, all of a sudden, we're starting to see Sam Sulek's lower body almost on a regular basis now, compared to, maybe like the 7, 8, 9, maybe 8, 9, 10 weeks out. I don't think we saw him maybe one time in 3 weeks, one time in a month. And again, to give the Classic Physique guys some credit, this is Sam's pro debut. And you look at the condition that his legs are in, the separation, the detail, the cross striations, and think about all of, I won't name any names, but think of all the open bodybuilders that we've shown lower body physique updates from going into the Arnold in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we're not talking about size, but when it comes to just separation, detail, dryness, Sam Sulek's legs in that aspect are ahead of a lot of the open guys doing the Arnold Classic. That's just a fact. And Sam Sulek, again, this is his pro debut. He's not even, he's generally not considered to be a threat to win this show. And even he, in this Classic Physique lineup, has shown better condition than some of these open guys, a lot of these open guys that we've seen updates from going into the Arnold. And I would honestly say, earlier, I showed a picture of Nick Walker's Christmas tree that he posted today. We've been seeing Sam Sulek post Christmas tree updates for the last 3 weeks. And again, even though he doesn't have as much muscle as Nick, et cetera, at 9 weeks out, Sam Sulek's lower back Christmas tree was more shredded, detailed, grainy than Nick's is at 6 weeks out. And again, there's a big size difference. There's a big muscle mass difference. All of these things are factors that do matter in how these guys look. But hats off to the Classic Physique guys. They're bringing it. That's just the simple point that I'm trying to make. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Where do you see Sam Sulek placing? Where do you see Menegate placing? Where do you see Andrea Mammoli placing in the Classic Physique Arnold Classic? Let me know in the comments below. That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. If you guys are going to get hit by the winter storm, make sure you're staying safe and warm. I'm actually going to experiment a little bit with this video. I'm doing a different Nick Strength and Power backdrop here, a variation of the Nick Strength and Power logo, a little bit more modern, updated version. I did a different intro here. You guys might have also noticed I've been doing some A/B testing. I think that feature on YouTube is really cool, by the way. If you haven't used it for your own YouTube channel, I highly recommend it. It's a really cool feature where you can upload multiple different thumbnails, and YouTube will A/B test them, so they'll serve different people different thumbnails, and whichever thumbnails seem to get the most views and traffic, then it'll switch to make that the default thumbnail because that one performed better in their A/B testing experiment. So that's why on any given video you might have seen of mine in the last week or so, you might see a couple different variations of a thumbnail when you click my video. That's because of the A/B testing thing. And I'm not saying any of this stuff is permanent. I'm just testing it out. I really liked this new logo. I like the new intro. So I'm just kind of playing around with different ideas here and seeing what I like the most and, getting some feedback. I made the original Nick Strength and Power logo back in 2011 or 12, and I just felt like it needed updated. It's very low resolution. It doesn't look modern, so I tried to make different upscaled modern versions of it. Anyway, I'm rambling, but just to explain some of the changes, I'm going to be snowed in. It's freezing cold here. I thought I'd play around with some of this stuff while I've got some extra time, and I'm not going to be, most likely not going to be leaving the house. So anyway, stay safe, stay warm. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.